Welcome back to the Woodland Reboot. In today's video, there is a lot of heavy lifting going on. So please stick around and see how I move my mill, move the sleepers, and get everything set up so I can head out and start milling again next week. Before I can get on with moving the mill and setting up the sleepers, I've got to get out the generator and grind out these old pins, these pins that were meant for the piers for that first site of the pad that I'm now going to move over to the other location about 25 feet in the opposite direction. There are 20 piers in the building design that I'm using, so in total there are 40 of these pins that I need to buzz out. And I'm going to jump into fast forward mode here, just showing you a total of 6 pins that I use the grinder to get rid of and not bore you with the remaining 34 that need to be removed. You get the idea. It's now time for me to move some of this gravel around from what was this pad and push it around to try and level the areas around this area, as well as those holes that were dug out for the piers. You can see one there right by the back end of the tractor. I again jump into fast forward mode so as not to take 5 minutes showing you what it's like to level the gravel, pull and push it around using the Ford 9N. I do this for the better part of a minute and a half showing you this footage. So for those who are the Ford 9N lovers, please enjoy. With the pins removed and the gravel level, I can get ready to move the sawmill and bring over the sleepers as well. I bought a boom pole for the 9N and it works extremely well. The hydraulics for the 9N manage the boom pole and the various items quite well. And you're going to see here I'm lifting the head of the saw off the rails right now. I don't quite do this very smoothly, but it does roll off the rails with a bit of a slight bang here at the end. Again, nothing terrible. I wish I had lifted a little bit higher, but it worked out. With the head of the saw safely out of the way, it's time for me to head back over and lift the saw deck, start the preparations for hooking it up to the boom pole, and get ready to slide it out of the way. As you're going to see, this is not really a lifting operation, more of a sliding and dragging operation. Keep in mind that with the rails, the green bunks, and the 2x12 wood that I've put into this saw deck, this is quite a heavy piece to be lifting with this tractor and this boom pole. I've definitely maxed out the limits in terms of lifting capacity for the tractor. Also keep in mind I am working with an antique tractor. It's been fully refurbished, but it is antique. And what I believe is going on is that my hydraulics have a bit of a leak in them. And so as I play with the clutch to move this slowly and not to jerk it too much, I'm losing the lifting capacity each time I play with the clutch. And so because of this, this truly turns into a pulling exercise. I don't want to let go on the clutch and rev the motor and get the lift capacity going at full, because I have to be rolling at a faster speed to do that, and then it will become an exercise where that saw deck is swinging behind me uncontrollably and possibly being damaged and or damaging the boom pole and the tractor. As you can see, in about a minute or so, I do get it done, so to say, but it takes a little bit of time and patience. I resecure the saw head to the boom pole, and this time I adjust the top link so that I can get a higher lift and make it easier for myself as I put the saw head back on the rails. I play with the hydraulic lever here so that the boom pole is coming down very slowly. This allows me to maneuver the saw head into place as it comes down. I was super pleased this worked out as well as it did. I was able to get the saw head to lower smoothly back onto the track, and given the way that I took it off the track, I was nervous I was going to bang it and possibly damage it getting it back on the track. I forgot to stop and move the camera, but there it is. I moved it and just jostled it back into place. 10 inches from the side of the mill. Perfect, and it's going to serve as a security block. Awesome. I also bought some log tongs. You see me attaching them here to the boom pole, and this will help ease the process of moving these sleepers around. I do enjoy this antique tractor, and it's a case where my interest in things antique, as well as the practicalities of the budget that I have available for these activities, come together beautifully. If I had the resources, sure, I would have a nice new tractor with a front loader and a backhoe, but I'd also have several antique cars that I could play around with as well. At the end of the day, I am extremely happy and pleased that I have the ability, with the support of my wife, to have these 10 acres, these various, I guess I would call them toys, to pursue these interests and these hobbies. With the logs in place at the site of the new mill location, it's now time for me to reattach the loading ramps and take some measures to ensure that the sleepers themselves aren't going to roll around when we start dropping logs on them. With my old sawmill setup, I had 4 sleepers laid down. You've seen that before. In this setup, I'm only going to use 2 plus those little cutoffs as extensions. So the remaining logs that were sleepers, I'm now dragging them over to get them in place for future milling. Well, I'm a little bit annoyed with myself because I managed to get the log up here and put it down exactly where I wanted to get it. It took a little bit of maneuvering to make that happen. And where I want to get it is on this 3 to 4 foot extension that I have off of the sleepers here. And that allows me to get the log balanced or leaning up against this extension of the sleeper. And then I'm able to maneuver that quite easily regardless of how heavy the log is. I'll show you how I do that right now. Get the log tongs out of the way. But with it up on the sleeper, even though it's not on 2 sleepers, I'm able to roll the log. And then, with a lot of the weight cantilevered out the other side, very easily lift it up and put it on. Sawmill moved, sleepers moved, 2 of the old sleepers now up on the sleepers ready for milling. Oh, and I've got to move the cover for the sawmill first as well. And now I want to get the shelter up over the sawmill as well. It's not that heavy, it's just very awkward and it's a little bit fragile in terms of shelters. I've got an idea, let's see if it works. So I've turned the feet so that they hopefully act like sleds going forward. Not a pretty move operation, but it worked. The frame is very fragile, as you can see from this little wobble here I give it. It's a Shelter Logic. It comes with a tarp that is fitted and tied tight, which actually gives it much more stability. That tarp is long gone, as I think many of you who have had a Shelter Logic or a Shelter Logic type kit, they tear and rip after maybe the 3rd or the 4th year. I never expected this shelter to make it through the winter months. I expected the wind and the snow to tear up this blue tarp and leave me uncovered and exposed to the elements during much of the winter. But that didn't happen, it worked, but it's now time to improve it. I purchased an additional tarp, layered it over the existing blue tarp, and secured it quite well, and added some additional purlins, I guess, for this little exercise. You can also see that apparently I'm the fastest worker on the planet. Hey everyone, I finished the move in terms of moving the sawmill. I've got a new tarp over top of the shelter. In fact, it's a double layer tarp now. I have improved the hold down system. I've got 4 30 or 30-pound cinder blocks around 4 of the 6 feet. That's an improvement. So it's worked out well. It's come together nicely, and the tractor and the boom pole I'm finally getting a chance to use them, and they're turning out to be invaluable. It's the lifting capacity that I have, and it's working out.